This episode,
we're going to talk about
What are the things that are going on in our lives?
it's kind of like maybe this might be like,
Yeah, sorta, kinda.
life lesson.
hi. Well, hello.
Hi, Marshelle Fair.
Hello, Bridget O'Neill. And we're sort of, kind of.
Well, yeah, you could say we are,
Yes.
or this is, or you are. Maybe everything is sort of, kind of today. Like
Okay.
I'm sort of, kind of sick.
Yes, we're both under the weather and pushing through.
I mean, what is it called? The husky voice? Dare I say the sexy voice?
I always have a sec. No, but I mean, I always have a little bit of a raspier voice, but it's definitely
Like mine, like I definitely sound different. And I like it. I kind of wish I sounded like this all the time, but
just roll with it.
we're just gonna roll with it. And
Yeah. So we thought we would share with you how we started off our day. Tommy Black, my husband,
is this the Florida thing?
yeah, sent me this text while we were here. He's just in the other room, but he had to send me the text. Florida man arrested for tranquilizing and raping alligators in the Everglades. What? And like, and this guy looks completely mental.
And that's why he sent you a text, is because there's an image of this man.
His eyes are,
It's
and
he's
looks
like completely bug-eyed. He looks like somebody who'd rape alligators.
He's
honestly.
like a guy on Flocka or Bach. I mean, what are those? What are the?
Well, see,
bath
I'd never
salts?
heard of Flocka until you said it today. I didn't know what that was.
Supposedly, it's some kind of drug. It's supposed to be even worse than bath salts. Which, side note,
By the way, sounds relaxing. I've never.
no,
I know.
but side note too, when the what's the word? When
Flocka.
no.
just
When the side effect, when the first side effect, the main side effect is that they eat people's faces off. I think that's a bad thing.
Like who's
Why
like,
would you do
oh,
that?
you know what sounds fun tonight?
Let's go eat Fred.
Let's go eat faces of Fred.
Let's eat Oscar. No. So anyway, we went on to this. Anyway, this guy looks like somebody who does nothing but Flocka and what are they? Bath salts? I keep trying
Bath
to call
salts.
them
Which
box
why?
salts.
Why is it called that?
I don't know. I don't care. It's
Maybe they look like.
they probably look like little bath salts, like rocks. I don't know.
Okay.
I've honestly never seen it. My drug days are long gone. That was a long time ago.
Does ibuprofen count?
No, but I wouldn't have
That's
even
me.
done something called bath salts anyway.
You would have probably been like, "That's dumb."
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was a wild child, but I wasn't stupid.
Even though I didn't know you back in the day, but I feel like I did.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I can imagine that, Marshelle.
That Marshelle. I was definitely a wild child, but I'm a reformed wild child now. I used to say with a lowercase r, not a capital R, because I still like to drink. But I don't drink anymore because I'm being supportive of my husband. So
Well, and also, am I allowed to say, like, if a baby happens, hey.
exactly. So we've been trying that as well. So it's better to not drink.
And trying that is such a funny way to refer to that.
I don't.
By the way, when you're saying you were a wild child, I was a very sheltered child. So
total opposites.
totally opposites. I mean, I had my rebellious moments, but it was all pretty mild.
I was like, I never had a problem with drinking. It was drugs. Yeah, it was. When I was more of a binger, I didn't do it all the time. But then I just one day, literally looked in the mirror and I was really thin, which I didn't mind. That's messed up. That's a whole other story. but I just was like, what are you doing? I don't know what it was. Some voice in my head, literally some part of me was like, look at yourself. And I never looked back. Never. I started being really healthy. I started running. I started eating salads, which I hated salad. To me, that was grass. What are you thinking? Why would you eat that? It was like eating grass, so blunt.
Dude, what an amazing moment to have it not only because I'm sure in that moment that moments like that come with a strong feeling, like almost like a deja vu feeling, like it's an important.
Yeah.
But the fact that you listened, the fact that you made a change, the fact that you like stopped cold turkey. I mean, I don't know the extent of
I did stop cold turkey, and honestly, I'll mention a name. Scott Weiland always used to say to me, "How did you do that?" And I was like, "I don't know." And he's like, "Some people just can." You know, that's I don't know. I've just always had that. But I think that's also ties into how we live our life. You and I talk about, and what we wanted to talk about on this show is, see, that all ties in, life lessons and how we live our life. Life is so much more than what you see in this physical world. And we have all the answers, I believe, within us. It's just, do we allow ourselves to listen?
And so in that moment, you'd say you listened.
I really did. Something, it was almost like shook me, like grabbed me by the scruff of the neck. I was like, look at yourself.
Yeah.
And man, I just stopped.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is, okay, so then I would still drink, but not
Do you remember about how old you would have been?
I was 19.
Wow.
I was really young. I was a binger. I didn't do it all the time, like I said.
I never have gotten an impression that you were like a drug addict. It always gets the sense it was just you like to party.
I did. And I was a good girl in that sense. Like, I wasn't somebody who, you can do whatever you want with your life. But me personally, I didn't sleep around. I wasn't like, I just was really spontaneous. And I liked to go out, and I liked to go walking through town with my friends at 3 a.m. and climb up to the top of the roof and look at the stars and hang out. We even sometimes we'd hang out at my house a lot of the time.
I wouldn't have been allowed to hang out with you. Probably not. I can tell you that right now.
Well, my mom,
I would have, I'm sure, loved to. I'm sure I would have loved to had I known you back then. But I wouldn't have been allowed, Marshelle.
No, probably not.
Could we met later in life?
It really is, because
you would have been a forbidden friend.
I would have, wouldn't I? I really would have. It's so funny.
Sheltered.
But that's what's interesting, is the full circle of life. I just hit my mic. The full circle of life, crazy, reined it all in. I had a child, which I feel saved me. I feel like that kid saved me more than I could ever save him, because it just took me outside of a selfish mindset. Not that I was selfish, but I had to think of somebody other than myself. So therefore, I wouldn't do drugs. I wouldn't drink myself into oblivion. I was never that person, though, anyway, because who likes throwing up? I don't. So
I love it. I'm kidding. Continue. I just thought it'd be contrarian to be a brat.
That's okay. That's the beauty of you.
It's just how I roll.
It's pretty much it. And but now, at this phase in my life, and I used to be very tolerant of people. Like, people could do whatever they wanted to do. If you want to do drugs, that's your thing. You're like, this is like just until a few years ago. And now because of friends that have died, because of relatives that have died, because of the lifestyle that I see in the certain parts of the music industry and even acting and all of that, I am disgusted by that lifestyle. I am disgusted by drugs. I am disgusted by that kind of mentality. I feel like you're hiding from life. You're masking. Whatever holes you have within you, fill those up.
And I want to say, this isn't to put down people who have, this isn't about the addiction aspect of it. It's the people who very brazenly are like, no, this is a part of who I am, and this is like the way I want to live my life, and that are really, really choosing it and defending it.
Yes, and glamorizing it.
And glamorizing it. That's the perfect word for it.
Right?
Because the addiction is a real thing, and it is a struggle that a lot of people deal with, and a lot of people don't even admit to themselves that they're dealing with.
Yeah.
And I have sympathy for that. That's a really rough thing to go through.
Because I mean,
whether it's you or a family member.
Exactly.
Yeah, or a friend.
Exactly. And people can try and try and try.
Because I know a lot of sober people.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are really candid about their experience getting to where they are. And I think it's really cool that they're able to, talk about it. But so much of my perspective on that is from speaking directly with people who have struggled and who are now on the other side of it.
And that's taking ownership of your choices and of your life. And I really respect that.
Because some people, their only option is to be sober.
Yeah.
It's either all or nothing.
Yeah.
They don't have an in-between.
Yeah. I'm like that with drugs, but I'm not like that with drinking or,
I mean, I've smoked pot, but I've never dabbled with drugs. So I couldn't tell you. But
I love that. I love that you haven't. I respect that deeply.
Thank you.
No, it's true. Yeah,
I mean, I've certainly had opportunities to do coke in my life, and it's just never
that
resonated with me.
That was the drug of choice for me. Like,
Yeah.
that's just, and I tried other harder things, but it was like, like I don't.
By the way, we had no idea we were going to talk about this today.
No, we were going to talk about synchronicities, actually,
Well, yeah,
and we still will.
Yeah, we'll still go there, but for whatever reason, this presented itself.
It certainly did.
You got to follow that through line.
Exactly. You have to trust the guidance.
And trust the timing.
Trust the timing.
Which is something we have talking about today.
Yes, and that is, I think that's what I was going to say. It all, to me, kind of rolls into now this life choice that I'm in, and you and I both are talking about that. Well, I am specifically, I know, and I think you agree with it. I want to go through the healthy phase where the body is a temple, and I want to see how good can I feel?
Yeah.
How clear can I be? And why not? I mean, we are kind of a holy vessel. I think.
Definitely have room for improvement. I mean, in terms of
does.
exercising more,
Same.
getting more regular sleep,
Same.
like the simplest things, the things that it's like the hierarchy of needs, like food, shelter, feeding ourselves, sex, elimination, whatever they are. I don't even remember. There's like 6 or 7
I'm
of them.
impressed you brought that out. I have a box. What is wrong with me? I have a book on that.
I'm impressed you brought it out of the box. Well, the thing is, I think that's sometimes the root of it for me is just the simplest things is getting enough sleep, eating the right foods, drinking enough water. I'm going to grab my water right now.
If she can reach it.
Oh, great. I was not anticipating the pillow situation. I had
We're all like very propped in and wrapped up.
Yeah.
And it's
By
comfy.
the way, if you're curious to see what all this looks like, we totally have this on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be up. Usually, I think it ends up being up the day after the audio goes up everywhere you listen to your podcasts. But yeah, if you want to see what we look like, that is an option.
If you want to watch the eye rolling that we do and
Marshelle knocking into her mic.
Like every other second, because I'm in a chair. I'm in a swinging chair. That just,
no, it's so cute to me that when you do you'll be like, oh, I bumped my mic. I'm like,
well, because you clunk, and you know what? You guys may not even hear it.
I just think it's so cute. You feel like you have to like explain
like, sorry about
this
that.
noise.
Sorry about that, guys.
Oh, aliens. Oh, did you hear the ghost? Oh man.
Well, I don't know. What did you want to expound on? Did you want to expound on?
Well, okay. Trusting the timing, since we brought that up in terms of the conversation we just brought up. That is such a big part of the way I live my life and why I think I live with so much more peace now than I was a few years ago. It's like a cute little soundbite to say trust the timing, but it means so much more than that. Like I feel like there's just layers to that of things that branch out from that, and that might not even be the best intro to all this, but I'm gonna go with it.
Okay.
So for example, us getting together to record this podcast, we'll use that as an example. Like say we were going to do it on a Friday and then something came up and we knew we couldn't do it on that Friday. And then like something came up on the Saturday and we felt like we were running out of time and all this and the other thing.
You have that anxiety. And
Right. So I think in the past, there would have been that part of me that wants to control, my day, or just, and not in a bad, it's kind of an innocent way. Like, of course you're allowed to want to control your day a bit, but for me to relax and and I don't mean be complacent, but to relax into the way things are unfolding and allow it to come up on a Monday, even though I always thought maybe Monday doesn't have enough time. There's no way. How are we going to be able to be, import and edit and do all the stuff we need? Letting that part go and just trusting that there's a reason why all of this fell into place as it did.
Yes. That goes in so many levels there of, it is a paradigm shift. I think it's definitely a perspective change.
Well, I think a lot of times we approach life as this thing that's being done to us, especially the negative things, right? Like all these negative things are being done to us. So for me, that's one layer is taking more ownership of how I move through this world and the things that happen and the circumstances that happen. not so much the circumstances specifically. It's more of my perspective. I can control my attitude.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's bad days where I feel like a brat, and I don't feel, it's not easy to shift that mood. But for the most part, I'm now in the practice of shifting that mood, and it gets easier and easier and easier and easier.
And on those days when it's hard, that's okay. That's what I've learned. It took a while for me to accept that it's okay to not know what to do or to be a little lost in that moment. So I find I told myself a long time ago, I'm like, it's okay to not know. It's okay to be a little, so you let yourself experience those feelings. Don't make yourself wrong for being upset or like you'll come over and I'll be upset that I'm not ready yet because I had the dog and this and Tommy needed help with this or whatever. And, we wanted to get started at 3:00 and it's 5:00, we're just starting to shoot or whatever it is. And used to, that would just completely derail me. Something as simple as that. And it's not that deep of an example, but you're like, that's okay.
Well, a lot of
stress the tummy.
A lot of life are these simple little things that build up, and they aren't necessarily like these profound moments, but like, what we were talking about earlier, there's this analogy about like, stick a fork in me, I'm done. There's this analogy of little forks and big forks. I'm not going to say this very eloquently, but the gist is some days you can have, like, say you have all these little forks already stuck in you, like a hangnail, a slight headache, maybe like that phone call you need to make to someone and you're like trying to figure out what to say and it's stressing you out. And then someone that you don't know on the street bumps into you and hits your shoulder really hard, and you just break down into tears.
Yeah.
Because that was like you were at your max in that moment and like just hit you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, sometimes it is the simplest things in life that we have to, figure out how to move through.
That reminds me we talked about this before. When I was a kid, or we would talk about when we were kids, I would think about life as being like, oh, when I grow up, I'm going to go do this and that. And it's so you don't realize the monotony of adulthood, like all day, every day. Oh, I have to wash my dishes.
Yeah.
I have to do my laundry. I remember telling my son this. I'm like, well, that's what life is like. You're not going to get to hang out with your friends all the time. You have to go to work. You have to do your laundry. You have to clean the house. You have to whatever. And people are going to be mean to you. That's still to this day. I thought about this. I kind of make fun of myself when someone's really rude to me out of the blue. I'm always so, you're talking to me like that? I'm nice. I'm pretty nice to people. Unless you piss me off, but
I flipped someone off today. I'm gonna be honest. I was trying to turn into my driveway, and there's like 2 lanes coming at me, and then there was this actual massive opening, and I knew that the car coming. Like, I'm very good at spatial relation, and they were on the other side of the building still when I turned in, and so, it's like you turn in. And I'm only in the road for a couple seconds, and then I'm completely out of their way. And from way back there, they started honking at me. And
that
so
pisses me off.
I was just like,
I don't like it.
And I very calmly just like gave them the bird.
Yeah.
And went about my business. So I have my moments.
Oh, I will do that too.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I felt better. And I'm not saying like this is a great moment for me and I should be proud, but I'm just saying, like,
sometimes it feels really good.
I'm mostly peace, love, and light, and little go fuck yourself. That's one of my favorite sayings.
Exactly.
There was something you were talking about though that I wanted to. There's a fuzzy. Sorry, if you're watching us on YouTube, you would see me trying to catch a fuzzy.
Or you would see my chair slightly swinging and hitting the mic stand, and I keep pulling it back over, trying to be all casual about it and not laugh. Well, Bridget is expounding on something very important.
I don't remember. It'll come back to me. I'm sure if it's important. Also, what you can't see, nobody can see this, so you're just going to have to imagine the most adorable black and white kitty named Disco Black is at my knee right now, and he's just snuggling up. He's being so cute, and he's licking his paw.
That's her cat voice.
I'm sorry. I totally do baby talk to animals.
I don't to kids.
I was just going to say, but not to babies.
No, I don't like it when people do that to children. It annoys me for some
Maybe
reason.
when they're really young, I'll be like, hey, what's up?
Oh, yeah.
I might do a little bit.
Yeah.
But
I don't be like, do, 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 do. I don't do that at
Oh.
all to a baby. I
Oh, and
hate
you're like,
that.
oh, you busy baby.
Yeah, no.
No, I'm with you on that. I'm sorry.
You know what? This might be the rambling on. We're going to have like repeat topics, or kinds of days sometimes. And this might be a rambling on kind of like where we just talk about
Maybe.
whatever we feel like.
Maybe.
It could be.
Try to stop us. Look at us go. Well, I mean, I feel like we could set the stage. Bridget and Marshelle sit in the bottom room, the she shed
The she shed.
of the black household.
Mm-hmm.
2 ring lights and an
Umbrella.
light plus a lamp that they put together. And it's on IGTV
And a
if
bunch-
you're on there.
And some plants.
And
Lots of pillows.
some plants are thriving and others are existing.
Something's going on. There's some bad plant
Lush
mojo going on.
pillows adorn the wooden
Mhm.
couch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll stop.
Yeah.
But you get the idea, I think. It's a bohemian odyssey.
It's an odyssey. That totally reminds me. Complete side note. I've been watching all of these Greek shows. You knew I was going to go there. Those people were crazy back in the day.
The Greek people?
Oh my gosh, the Greek myths.
Oh, yes.
Oh my gosh.
Tell me a fact. Tell me a Greek myth fact. Tell
There's
me
a lot of incest going on in the Greek gods,
shit.
I gotta say, and a lot of eating children and
what
turning
the
into
actual fuck.
Yeah.
Why?
Turning into, I don't know. But what's interesting is those gods also filtered into the Egyptian gods, which I always suspected. And we'll talk about that another time because I have a whole theory about that.
That kind of stuff's fascinating.
It's totally fascinating.
I
This is what I find interesting about
okay.
this.
Tell me, lay it on me.
That at the beginning, let's say back in the day, before there was all this electronic communication and so forth, everybody in the whatever part of the world they were in still believed in a higher power of some sort, with a wife, usually, maybe several, and
Wife or like a mother figure?
no, usually like a man and a woman, like a god and a goddess, let's
Right.
say.
Like a unit. They were like a unit. Okay.
Yeah, a married couple, let's say.
Okay.
And then they had a child, usually, or several, or, they all fooled around. I don't know. And they had angels or other powerful beings
Not saints,
or
but like
children, which would be other gods, demigods, if you're going with the Greek gods. I find that fascinating that all over the world, since the beginning of time, people have always believed in something like that. So to me, being the ex-science major that I am, that shows you that there's some truth in that. Now you can interpret it. It's just all called something different. But to me, it's all the same anyway, which I always say. God, Allah,
source,
source,
the universe.
It's all the same thing, And I think that's what's amazing. And people don't like to look at that. They like to say, oh, you stole it from this or that or paganism or maybe it's all part of the same thing.
But there's
instead of
also
dividing
a
it.
lot of people out there that are thinking, it's so refreshing to hear someone else say that. Because they
Yes.
also feel that way.
Yes, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because this is something I've heard other people, and I've read books on this topic.
Tons of
I'm trying to
books.
think of what it's called. It was like one river, many wells.
I don't know that one. I don't know that one.
Or is it one well, many rivers?
I don't know it.
Google?
We were just playing with my Alexa. This is
You
when
know
Alexa
what would be
handy.
handy? Some people have those producers that they're like, hey, go look that up. Minion.
Yeah, minion.
Someday.
But anyway, I find that fascinating.
Can I? This is such a random thing. Can I tell you something really funny? My mom was like trying to listen to our trailer, which was because
dear
we
God.
use Simplecast to as our host.
We love Simplecast. Shout out to
Simplecast has been
Simplecast.
really great. So our trailer was on Simplecast. This was before we got picked up on like Apple and everything. And so she was on there and she was like, you guys are talking really, really fast. I was like, huh. I mean, I remember us having like high energy and talking kind of fast, but I didn't feel like we were talking too fast to be understood. And she's like, also, you guys, I can't tell the difference between your voices. You sound the same. I was like, huh. That's really interesting. I was like, it was just taken aback. I wasn't expecting this kind of feedback, but it's okay. Like, I also was like, I hope my mom's okay. Like, I didn't, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't sure. She texts me back. She's like, oh, I had the speed on like 1.5. And she's like, so now I'm listening to you guys in slow motion and you sound so drunk. And it's hilarious.
That's funny.
It was so good. And I was so relieved because I was like, oh, thank God, my mom knows the difference between my voice.
Well, we posted a picture of us when we were kids. And didn't you say your aunt got us wrong?
My aunt got us wrong and I didn't correct her.
Oh, that's
because
super cute.
I don't know.
We did look similar in some pictures. We really did.
A lot of people pointed out that either one of us could be either and that we could be siblings.
We'll
my mom said that a couple times. She was like, you guys, she's like, what did she say? She goes, do you think you and Marshelle could be distantly related?
Did she really?
Yes. I forgot to tell you this. We just had this conversation. She was like, I was like, well, maybe we have similar, like, I don't know if she said or DNA tested, but I have a feeling we probably have similar. She's like, you guys just have some similar features. But my mom also recently told me she thought I looked like a young Cher. So I don't know. Maybe she's.
Do you know?
What?
Okay.
What?
My cousin Becky, when we were kids, my mom used to have really long hair, thought that my mom was Cher. And she went around telling everybody, Cher's my aunt. People picked on her so much.
Oh, man.
Side note to that, I had a godmother named Jackie who looked so much like Jackie Kennedy. No one corrected me and telling me that it wasn't Jackie Onassis. And so I went around telling everybody that that was my godmother, and I got made fun of a lot too. So very similar story.
So it runs in the family.
It does, yeah.
Cher
Cher and Jackie.
There's a cat on my lap. And I'm so happy. If you're watching us on YouTube, you'd be able to see a fluffy black tail floating back and forth across the screen.
Can you see Disco?
You could a second ago, but now he's not anymore.
No, he's laying down. He loves Bridget.
I am Snow White. I am an animal whisperer. I just love animals so much.
I don't know why she's doing that voice.
You guys, I don't even have, this isn't even my normal voice. I'm growling like I can't. Because you know me, I'm very expressive, Marshelle.
She is. I was teasing her the other day because she said she was really into musical theater when she was young. I was like, this explains so much.
And I was too. I had dreams of moving to New York and acting and singing and dancing. And then I realized, I like acting best.
Yeah.
Also, I like the sunshine of LA. And then I moved here.
And
that's my story.
Yeah. I used to.
It's my origin story.
My origin story. It's
that brief and simple. It's all you need to know.
I almost moved to Chicago instead of here.
Really?
Yeah, because I was just going to do theater. Screw it. And it was closer for my son with, that whole situation. Well, he would have been with me, but I mean, it just would have been closer to certain members of the family and that sort of thing. But I decided to move out here instead, which I'm really glad I did. It's a lot better.
Me too.
Yeah.
I think your husband's probably stoked on that.
Yeah. I'm sure Thomas.
And all who know you.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes.
LA is blessed to have you, Marshelle.
Oh my gosh, Bridget. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what I would do.
Same.
Like, really. I don't even want to, high five. I don't even want to imagine life without you around.
No, me either. Ooh.
It's been
We're having a moment.
Yeah.
For real. For real.
For real.
We figured a lot of things out about life together.
You know what a lot of it is too is you need someone to bounce these things off of.
You do.
You especially when I feel like I went through a paradigm shift that was kind of forced upon me. I had to accept that life is more than I had been living it to be, and that there was these layers of reality. It was like I just had reached a critical mass, and life unfolded in such a way. I guess I could get more specific, but I'm going to just breeze through this real quick to get to.
It basically hit you in the head and made you have to take another
And
look.
I thought I was crazy. Like it wasn't even just a matter of looking. It was like I had to adjust to a new reality that I didn't feel like I chose for myself.
Right.
Yeah. And so you and I met around the time that this was really coming to head for me. Coming to a head for me. And you were one of the only people, I mean, there was a few others, but you were one of the only people I could really speak to about these unknowable things. And you not only had a lot of insight for me, you were really generous with, like, you really saw me, and you were really generous to tell me what you saw in me. And it was really moving. I remember you were one of the first people who looked at me in the eye and was like, how are you? Like, really asked me how I was doing. And it wasn't something that I would encounter often, maybe my mother, but like, you really were caring towards me pretty quickly. And you admitted that was like, you were someone to be kind of, I don't know if guarded was your word, but just kind of held your, you know what you'd say is you held your cards close to your heart.
Yeah. I did say that.
But I felt like you let me in, and same. And I feel like there's still layers to our friendship that we keep getting to discover, which is so cool.
It's really fun.
Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, I can't imagine not knowing you, because I don't think I would be who I am today not having you in my life. So.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, of
I
course.
didn't expect you to.
None of this is planned.
None of this is planned, you guys. We had a whole other episode figured out. We're like, okay, this is what we're going to chat about. A couple little bullet points. Boom, here we go. Talking about drugs and you.
Oh, but you know what's funny? No, that was me talking about you.
No, I know. Yeah. That's what I mean. And
you know what's funny? We didn't finish the Florida thing.
Oh, no. Okay, we will do that. Because that's the best.
Where's my phone?
That's the best. Where's your phone?
Everyone grab your phone.
Yeah, we'll get back into a nice love session in a second.
So Tommy Black was like, hey guys,
watch this.
Google this.
Yeah.
Google the words. What are the words, Marshelle?
Man in Florida.
Man in Florida. Okay, write in man in Florida.
Man in Florida.
Man
We're
in
doing this
Florida.
as we speak for those not watching. Man in Florida, and then your birth date, not
Mine
the year.
is October 16th.
Mine is September 9th.
So you guys put in your own birthday.
And then go.
Okay, search.
Okay.
And just look at the headlines that pop up.
I got the same ones before. Okay, so here's my first one. Oh, wait, look at the cat.
Oh, geez.
Disco.
Cat. Okay, hold on.
Hold that thought.
Kitty, come here.
Disco's on top of the wood couch that I already finished.
And then if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see a cat floating across the screen, and a Bridget narrowly almost spilling her soda all over her own. I almost said the V word. I can say vagina.
Oh, you could, yeah.
You know
I wasn't
what?
ready for that. Vagina.
Whatever.
Yeah.
People say penis. I can say vagina. Okay, continue.
Absolutely. Okay.
Florida.
So, man in Florida, 9/9. That's my birthday. Naked Florida man starts house fire while baking cookies on George Foreman grill. Okay, what do you have?
My first one is Florida man commits murder over imaginary girlfriend.
That's awesome. Okay, wait. Oh, this one makes me mad. Florida man arrested after being caught on video delivering closed-fisted blows to dog.
Ew, that's
People
sad.
should be shot. Wait, here's another one. This one's better. Let me read this one before you go, because I have to get over that. Naked Florida man high on meth. Oh, this is bad too. Okay, naked Florida man high on meth bites canine dog, assaults officer.
Ooh. Florida man arrested for attacking mom with this breakfast food. I'm sorry. Is this a Jeopardy question? What is bacon? Okay, I'm gonna have to investigate that. The cat is at it again.
Yeah, Disco. Come on, get away.
Okay, let's see what the disco.
I still have the whole naked man covered in mud, but apparently he was naked and covered in mud when he bit the canine's ear. That was rough. But that's what you do. And there's a whole litany of Florida man.
I wasn't that far off. This dude was, let's see.
Disco.
Her and his son were in the kitchen together when he asked her to make him something to eat. She told him that it would take a few minutes because she was busy. This allegedly angered him, and he began throwing sausages at her, hitting her in the eye with one. She told deputies that he grabbed her by the neck and pushed her backwards. Jesus, young man, learn how to cook. 22-year-old boys should... Okay, cat, this is too much.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Oh! Okay, we're going to take a break.
How funny would it be to give us a 5-star review, but the review is just a headline? Man in Florida does blah, 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 blah. People reading it would be like, what
the hell is this thing? What are these people doing?
But yeah, if you do that, then we'll read them on air. How about that?
We will actually.
This will be a whole thing.
And also, while we're talking about reading things on air, if you have any questions or any ideas of what you want to talk about, send them in.
Yeah.
And sometimes people do want our advice. We'll give it
Dude,
to you.
I love giving advice. But you know what I also love?
What?
Us giving advice together. Because
I
I,
know,
feel
right?
like
It'll
we're
be
totally
interesting.
good cop, bad cop is what I was trying to say.
We are.
Yeah. So I think
I would say you're nicer than me.
gentler.
Gentler is the right way.
Yeah. Because you're nice.
But I'm just shoot from the hip. Yeah. She's like, well, maybe you're not that nice. Because it's true.
I seem more filtered. No, it's
Would you
just
say that?
different.
What
It's not
is different?
filtered. It's gentler.
I'm
I
more
think
blunt.
it's that. It's
I'm
gentler.
probably more blunt. Is that what you would say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not that I must filter it a bit because there's a difference between what goes on in my head and then the way that I present it to somebody.
Yeah.
I am really trying to tune into how I feel they will hear me best.
Mm-hmm. You're good at that.
And thank you. And I don't think there's anything wrong also with just being straight up.
I'll just straight up be like, yeah, or whatever.
So I think with you together, it's like you say something and then I soften it.
Yeah, that's very true.
And then I say something and then you stab it in
Yeah,
there.
exactly. I'm like, or what she's really saying is, boom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she'll say it in more. You will be kinder. How did we used to put that? You could be a little more flowery about it. You would be a little more,
And that's
not in a bad way.
No. I mean, I can't. That's just kind
That's
of
just who you
me. That's
are.
kind of how I talk anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe not today. I've dropped a couple F-bombs. Sorry, Mom.
Yeah, but
but-
today we're both sick, so had vitamin C drinks. I
Dude.
mean,
Hopped up on vitamin C.
yeah, and coffee. So
Oh, I have had quite a bit of
yeah,
coffee.
Yes.
There is some right there. I'm tempted to reach the 2 feet to get it, but I think I'm
would
good.
go for it. I would go for
You
it.
think so?
I would. So
I feel like she just dared me. I can't say no.
I wanted to talk more about do you think that everything is a sign? Because we were talking about the way we look at life.
Ooh. Sorry, there was chunks of coconut oil that had solidified. I so see signs in my life. I definitely
Me too.
believe in synchronistic events, etc. I don't think everything's a sign,
I don't at all. Yeah.
but
don't at all.
I 100% think and live my life in such a way that I am listening to all sorts of things for information. And some of those things are what I think other people might think are silly,
Yeah.
like repeat numbers or number sequences.
I think yeah. But I think there's just, if you're open, I honestly think that takes bravery. I don't think it's stupid. I mean, there are a lot of charlatans out there and a lot of what we would call woo-woo out there that kind of makes it a turnoff. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, blah, blah, blah. No, it's, I don't believe everything's all good. I don't believe, I think there is good out there. But I think that sometimes you just shouldn't have had your foot that close to the tire. That's why he ran over your foot. That's not a sign, or whatever it is. Just fucking move your foot. You know what I mean? That's just what came to my mind.
What an unexpected yet delightful example, Marshelle.
Well,
I love that.
you're welcome.
Um,
But I mean, I think if you ask for validation, let's say this is my experience. I know you experience this too. If you ask for validation, I think you will get signs, whether it's a song coming on at a certain time, right? When you're just heartfelt asking, you're just, I mean, what is the word I'm looking for? You're just in that moment. You couldn't mean it any more than you possibly could at that. And then a song will come on the radio, or you'll see written on a sign somewhere, literally, no pun intended, or, I mean, you'll see it in a magazine or synchronistic numbers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if that keeps happening, they say it's always 3 is the magic number. If it happens in 3s, then it's legit. And I believe that. And if you don't believe that, like if you think that's a bunch of nonsense, a bunch of woo-woo, then we're not the people for you to listen to. Or maybe we are, and you could like, you know, see what we're saying.
I don't know how systematic it is for me in terms of, I don't know that I think about it, how many times it happens. Okay, well, I don't know how often I'm asking for it in terms of validation.
Yeah.
For me, it's more of like, I'm just going about my day and these things happen.
Same here.
And I'm paying attention. So not to say that there isn't a time and place to ask for that guidance. Great. But I guess I don't even think about it that way as much. So the happening in 3s thing, I don't know. I think a lot of this stuff for me has happened so many times. Like that's why it's significant.
Yeah, you can't ignore it. That's
Right.
scientific too. If something keeps happening, therefore there must be some truth to it.
Yeah.
Do you know, like if you keep saying. But now I had just read that a long time ago in some book. It might have been a Louise L. Hay book. I'm not sure. But they say ask for validation. So in the beginning for me, that was something where I'm like, maybe I'm reading too much into this. And so I was just kind of looking at a bunch of different types of books, Wayne Dyer and all these amazing authors. And I read that about like ask for validation, and usually in 3s, there's a magical thing to that. But now the way I live my life, it's just, I can feel it. You can feel it and it's how you kind of find your way.
And I feel like describing that feeling is trying to like catch a fragrance in a jar. It's like, how do you explain? Because I haven't lived my entire life knowing that feeling. I feel like the feeling feels. No, but it's taken time for me to trust that feeling.
Yeah.
But before I could even trust it, I had to kind of discover it. I'm like, oh wait, there's this like still quiet aspect of myself that is here and is like this sense of knowing to it. And how do I tune into that, you know?
Do you feel like it's always been there?
Yeah.
I do too.
I do.
When I was a kid, I always lived my life like that, I think. And I didn't even realize I was doing that. I just trusted in what I felt or saw.
I was constantly in prayer as a child almost. Not
too.
like, I don't mean like I was out of it. I just mean I was always talking to God.
Me too.
Yeah.
That's what we were discovering when we would talk about what we were like as kids, that we were very similar in that way. I was always talking to God is what I would say. Always listening. The world was very
and always
magical to me.
hearing.
Yeah.
From God.
And always in
if you
nature.
will.
I was a little tree climber and always out in the woods and laying in the grass and looking up at the clouds. But I always felt protected and like I was hearing things and I was guided, and it was a very magical world to me. And then as I got older, what we had talked about, that gravity of life and just logic entering it makes you think, oh, that can't be true. And then I had to like rediscover it as I got older. But actually, I can't even say that. I think it was just always there. I just finally, it's as you put it, it just hit me well, I put it like that, but it just, life made me stop and take a look at it and acknowledge that this is my reality. You know, that I'm not imagining this. I'm not, and you'll just get a feeling in the bones or like the chills or it's like this gut instinct, you know, intuition. Some people will call it intuition, you know.
I have to be honest, I started feeling really sad talking about this. And I think it's because I was realizing that there was this time between then and now where I couldn't really explain to you why I stopped talking to God, like when that happened, but it makes me really sad. And I still don't feel like I am there as I was as a child. There was something that was so, like nothing could be more natural. It was just like so pure and just such an understanding of, I don't even know if I can put it into words, but it was just, there was so much peace to that way of living my life. And then to know that I lived so long without that peace, I can't even
That's
tell you where it
sad.
went. And it makes me feel really sad for some reason right
Yeah,
now.
it's almost like I feel like I almost buried it, to where within myself, but I was miserable. I'd said that in that one episode. I can honestly say I was miserable. And so I just changed my life completely.
And maybe what's somewhat different now than before is that to me, talking to God is so much more than just like this conversation in the mind. It is all those synchronistic things.
Right.
It is like in nature, or like encounters that you have, or like a moment of kindness that you witness, or even sometimes sad things like death, or like the things passing, like the things that are of life. That's also a communication with God, like when you're there witnessing that. But this is interesting. I'm gonna have to kind of like pull myself out of that feeling, but also I want to be aware that that's happening, because that's clearly part of me saying, hey, this is something you need to look at and spend time with. So anyway,
that's part of how we look at life too.
Yeah.
Right there. Like when something comes up, instead of running from it, embrace it, look at it. I used to have a major problem with depression. Didn't even realize that I did, because I was just so used to it. And then I kind of had I call it a quasi nervous breakdown. And I probably should have gone to the hospital, honestly, but I got out of it. But I started looking at it, like looking at what is this feeling? And I couldn't even tell you what it was. I think there was a lot of things in my life at that time that just forced me, a lot to do with lifestyle change and my son and just a bunch of things.
Because there are circumstantial things that will definitely bring about.
But it definitely, and then I started writing poetry, which I wish I could find it. I don't know where it is, but it gave it a face, basically. And then I don't know. I remember I let a friend of mine read it, and she was like, "Oh my God." She said it was very depressed, like it was very heavy, and she was worried about me. I was like, but this is making me feel better. Like I after I did that, it was like I always felt like there was like some thing in me, like scratching away with talons on my bones, like clawing at me. And that's what it felt like, and then once I wrote that down, I wrote this poem about that feeling, and it just made me feel okay. It was like I embraced that. I made it a friend. Basically, I made depression or whatever that was that I went through my friend, and I didn't make myself wrong for feeling like that. And I learned from that to always stop. That's what we were talking about at the beginning a little bit, or I started to bring that up. Always stop and let yourself feel what you're feeling, but then don't stay in that state. You got to pull yourself out of it. Make yourself watch funny things, because that raises your vibration. Everything is frequency and vibration anyway. The world is such a base place sometimes. There are people around like this Vegas mentality. That's base, you guys. I'm sorry. What happens stays in Vegas. Tits and ass everywhere. That's not the highest vibration we could be. I'm not coming from a prude standpoint, but come on. You know what I mean? I mean, people peddling sex on the street, that's not a higher vibration, and making it like that's a normal thing. I think that's a darkness that needs to be addressed, and it's what you surround yourself with. And if you can just look at life for really what is happening, you can pull yourself out of that. And
in regard to the depression, my experience, I feel like there's two main things that are coming to mind. One is realizing that it's not a permanent state.
Yes.
That this is just the present situation, and that I'm not always going to feel that way.
Yeah.
And I feel like the way that I learned that was because I've gone through it and come out of it enough times.
Yeah.
That the ebb and flow of it was like, okay. And I feel like that's the same with like after a breakup, for example. It's like you feel, you're like, I acknowledge, or grief from someone dying in your life. It's like I acknowledge that I am in like turmoil, like I'm in so much pain, like I'm so sad about like so and so passing away. But I also know that 3 months from now, I'm going to find more peace with this.
Yeah.
And then I will sit in that and say it's the depression. I will sit in that, and then I will project myself 3 months into the future, and I will get into the feeling place of that peace, knowing that I've done this before. And so I will draw from previous experiences, but I will do that with my imagination, and I will feel relief, and it will help me get through it. So that's one thing I do, is knowing and trusting that it won't always be that way. And the second one that came to mind was kind of what you're going along with about the watching funny things, focusing on the simplest things that bring you joy or comfort or peace. And sometimes it's like right now, guys, I know you can't see this, but I'm surrounded by these gorgeous, lush pillows, and they feel expensive and like just cushy, and like just feeling the feeling of this fur. Also, earlier when you were talking about the monotony of being an adult, I try to really enjoy, as cheesy as this might sound, doing my dishes.
Yeah, no,
with
me
gratitude,
too.
like thinking, I'm so grateful I have plates. I'm so thankful that I even have this, mug to have to wash it. Like I'm so grateful. And then when I come at it from that place, I'm actually doing it with like pride for my home. Like, I'm so glad at like this life I've built for myself.
I love my life.
Yeah.
I mean, is it perfect? No, but it's pretty damn close.
But focusing on the things you love about life, even in the midst of being really bummed out about it, is going to help you refocus yourself. And so you're not going to be like so down. It's also this, you know what? I'm going to throw this out there. We're going to bring up body image. It's the same when I look in the mirror. I used to always focus on my flaws or my perceived flaws. And I had to force myself, train myself to start really seeing things about me that I liked, or see myself through the eyes of someone else. Like I do a lot of these types of experiments. Like I said about like the go 3 months into the future. Well, if someone says, I really love the shape of your hips, and you think, oh, I've got massive hips, but they're like, I really love your curves. Look at yourself in the mirror through their eyes. Like imagine being them and loving that shape. And I'll tell you what, I started to appreciate my curves a whole hell of a lot more after doing that.
Wow.
It's like, and that also shout out to people who are kind enough to give genuine compliments on things like that. But I don't mean it from I'm not trying to sound like, I don't know. It's not all about looks. I get that. I love compliments on intelligence or kindness or those other qualities. But speaking of,
but you want to feel good about yourself
physically,
I think. I think because it's all part. It even ties into the body as a temple thing and wanting to be as healthy as possible. It's also a mentality that I want to have, and a consistency to be able to love myself as I am.
Yeah.
And I think that people come in all shapes and sizes, but I want to feel, for me, what's good for me. Like I want to fit in my clothes.
I don't want to have to go out and buy a whole new wardrobe because I gained 10 pounds.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd rather just
I just want to
lose those 10 pounds.
Yeah, and I people can be all shapes and sizes, like I said.
Yeah.
But what makes you feel good? And that's okay.
And some of it is challenging our thinking when we look in the mirror.
Yeah.
And it's like, how can I love myself right now so that as I'm working on improving myself, I'm doing it from a place of self-love, not from a place of punishment. And for me, it's like, so look in the mirror right now, even in this state that maybe you don't love.
Yeah.
And focus on the things you love right now. Even if it's your hair, even if it's like, you know what, I'm a really nice person. And you're looking in the mirror. Look at me being nice. You know what I mean?
That's a thing they talk about, though. Carol Tuttle, all types of people, they talk about looking at yourself in the mirror. Louise L. Hay, look at yourself in the mirror and say nice things to yourself.
Yeah. I think the affirmation mirror thing gets a bad rap. Like I know it's gotten made fun of, but
has it?
I mean, I'm thinking back to like back in the day, YouTube, Lisa, what was her real name's Lisa Donovan. Anyway, she had this character named Affirmation Girl, and she'd stand in front of the mirror and she'd say these affirmations, and it was cute, and I loved it. And anyway, I've seen it made fun of.
What was that? Oh yeah, somebody on Saturday Night Live used to do that.
Yeah.
And damn it, I like myself. You know, or something like whatever it was. I can't think of the guy's name.
I can't either. But the point is, as much as it's gotten made fun of, well, a lot of the more spiritual stuff, woo-woo-y things gets made fun of.
But you know
for
what?
good
Rightly
reason.
so. Yeah. I mean, I make fun of it.
But
it's a turnoff.
But there is really something to the positive thinking thing and the attitude and the focusing on the good stuff. Like there really is something to that.
And not in a way of being blind about it. You know, like, oh, it's all good. Because it's not all good. But
well, that's denial.
Yeah, that's denial. Thank you. Not in that way. But in a way of trying to, instead the half empty, half full glass thing. What is that? How do you say that? My brain is not connecting the dots.
Do you see the glass half full or half empty? And if you see it half full, that's more of an optimistic mindset.
Yeah.
If you see it half empty, that's more of a negative mindset.
I probably just see that it's just halfway. It's probably how I look at it.
I would say I tend to be optimistic, and I think that because I'm redirecting my thoughts a lot of the times. And I'm catching myself. I've caught myself a few times in the last couple of weeks. I don't know if this was because it was close to New Year's. And so my brain was like, should this be a New Year's resolution for me? But I was trying to really be mindful of the stories that I was like getting myself worked up about that ended up not coming true. And so that could be a simple thing. Like maybe you're having an interaction with a coworker and it's maybe a little bit of a misunderstanding, and then you're thinking, oh well, now they're mad at me, and so when they did this because blah 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 blah. I'm just making shit up, but and then you realize 10 minutes later when you have a conversation with them and they say, oh yeah, I had to go do that thing because of A, B, and C and D, and you're like, oh, that had nothing to do with me. And here I went through the turmoil of this story that I created that was really not fun to think about and was completely not true. And then catching myself in that and then being like, well, how do I like circumvent that whole first part? Yeah. And a lot of it is like not making assumptions and also telling the better feeling story, which I've already touched in but will probably bring up all the time because it's such a big part of how I'm trying to live my life. Yeah. Tell the better feeling story.
I just think it's really amusing us being
well, also this is the best I felt in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It really is.
I'm going to agree with you on this.
Yeah.
Yes. We both just got hit. I don't know who got hit first. I think I got hit first, but mine's been lingering. You got hit pretty hard.
It was a Monday.
Yeah.
It started in the throat. It lingered for days.
Wait. And she goes, well, we both might get sick or something. And I was like, well, that's just quite negative. And then we were sick.
Oh, well, when we were saying, oh, we have all this time before launch and we'll get to do all these episodes between now and launch. And I was like, okay, but let's not wait till the last minute. Yeah, no. Not that we would have, but it was just in case something happens, some unforeseen event. And then bam,
we both got really sick. And we're like, man, dude, I can't get together.
Yeah.
Dude, it's bad. Whatever. Yeah. Whatever it was.
So stay healthy.
Yes.
It's really hard for me not to want to bring up a home remedy.
I knew it was coming. I was waiting for it. I have one. You bring up one and then I have one.
I'm going to make this really short. When you feel a sore throat coming on, apple cider vinegar is your friend. It's the organic kind with the mother. I don't know what brand it needs to be. It just needs to be the raw stuff that has the gunk in the bottom. And you just take a couple of tablespoons of that with about 6 ounces of water and you gargle that every hour. And I'm telling you,
it does work.
It really makes a difference. I just have gotten to where now I just drink it.
I was always very resistant. She would always be like, Marshelle, you got to try this. I'm like, yeah. And then one day, I guess I was dying. And it's like, all right, I'll try it. Sure enough, I was like, God damn. Like, Bridget, you were right.
Yeah. I've been spreading the good news for a while now. And I've changed a lot of lives.
Mine is garlic tea. Remember I had that? I was shooting that show. And I was shooting the show and all the cast and crew.
Was this DTLA?
Yeah, it was DTLA.
Okay.
I was going to, and we all got so sick. We all just had the worst cold. I mean, it was forever. And then finally, one of the guys said something about how his grandma always made garlic tea because garlic, like if you kind of crack it and you let it sit out for 10 minutes, it creates some. I don't remember what the what happens to it, but it turns into
Some magic juju.
yeah, something, and it turns into basically like an antibiotic. And you put in your tea, and you put some honey, and you put some lemon, so you don't smell. But by that time, none of us could smell, so it didn't really matter if we
that
smelled.
you all reeked like garlic.
Yeah, if we smelled like garlic, so it worked.
The vampires hated you.
I know exactly. So I was safe from vampire attacks. So it's kind of a
So it
double
helped.
whammy.
So everybody
Yeah.
healed together as they
We
reeked
did.
of garlic.
We did. And it was funny because that character was supposed to be a bit of an alcoholic, a bit of a drinker. And because I had a cold for probably about half that shoot, I naturally looked like I was kind of drunk. So it worked out really well for me.
Which brings us back to trust the timing. No.
Exactly. And scene.
And scene.
So, that might be a good way to say,
See you next time?
yes.
Like, are we there? I think we might be.
I think we are.
I think we
because
found a great spot to
I
say,
think I
hey,
fell
let's.
asleep. Yeah.
No.
I'm kidding.
We're riveting. They can't get enough. Tell us all about it in the reviews.
No, please don't.
Oh, no, please do. With your 5-star reviews. If we like them, we'll read them.
Tell us about Florida Man, though, for sure.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be a
That's
great
actually-
5-star review.
And give us some home remedies.
Oh, yes.
I actually would love to hear those.
Yeah.
I really believe in those. I don't like going to the doctor. My eye has to be hanging out for me to actually go to the doctor. I totally
cannot
believe.
say anything on this topic because I won't stop talking about it.
I
So I'm
know.
just going to bite my tongue on this, but I have so much to say.
Yeah, I don't.
Next time.
Yeah,
some other time.
That's another topic. That really is a whole thing. Like,
So so there's a few things we want to say to wrap this
I was
up.
about to say it.
Yeah.
I was about to say it.
Yeah.
So go subscribe, whether you
Right.
listen on Apple, Spotify, what else?
Stitcher, Deezer, Google. Is it called
Deezer.
Deezer? Google Podcasts. But the big ones are Spotify and Apple
Apple.
Podcasts.
Yes,
Yeah. Those are
yes.
the big spots.
So please subscribe. We're going to come out every Wednesday. We'll have some guests once in a while.
And also follow us on YouTube if you want to watch the video podcast of this, because we're there. We're in living color.
You can see me hit the thing here.
You can see me
The strap.
Lift a cat multiple times to try to save Marcelle's plants.
because they're sad right now. I don't know what happened to these poor guys.
You can see my I'm wearing a sweater with stars on it. Marshelle is rocking her plaid.
Flannel. I'm into flannel lately. I don't know.
Flannel plaid.
You
There
can
and
see
there
me
she
knock
goes
the mic.
again with the knocking of the mic.
And I was in radio. You would never know
Yes, you
how
would.
often I hit the radio.
We've already had some kind people comment on our radio voices. Thank you. Bless your heart.
And thank you for everybody who has been listening already and is excited about the podcast, because we are too.
It's kind of surreal. I'm like, are they actually excited or are they just saying it?
I know.
They're
No, I'm
actually
like, they're
excited.
actually excited.
You guys are actually excited.
Yeah.
You're actually listening to us.
Yeah, so thanks, guys. We
Yay.
love you already, and we're all in this together. So tell us what you want to talk about or any ideas, and definitely tell us Florida Man stories.
There you go.
And we will see you guys next week.
And see you? Can we say see you?
Well, we will, in theory, if they want.
You know where we'll see you? Instagram.
Instagram.
That's where you guys are the most interactive. So let's keep that up. All right.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
Until next week.
Until next week.
Over and out.
Over and out. I always salute. I don't know what that is.
Yep. All right. I'm going to turn
You
this
have to turn me off because I don't know where my thing is. Oh, I see it. It floats around.